Okay, hello everyone, and welcome back to another session. I've been very excited about this session that we've actually partnered with ADP List, and ADP List is actually it's a group that started, I believe, in the past few months, and it's all about connecting designers to mentors and really facilitating that learning. And we're lucky enough to have Vicky Gao here, and she is a really incredible designer, and I'm very excited to hear, as you can see on the slide here, the top 10 things that she's learned over her career so far. I believe that she's tuning in from San Fran right now, and she's been working for, I think, the past 4 years at LinkedIn. So, yeah, so excited, Vicky, and thanks for joining us.
Yeah, sure. Should I take it from here?
Absolutely, go ahead.
Cool. Great. Yeah, I really feel pretty honored to have this opportunity to speak with you guys about and sharing top 10 things I've learned as a designer. So yeah, since Rachel already kind of introduced myself, so maybe I can just skip this slide. But yeah, I'm currently a senior product designer at LinkedIn, and I started human computer interaction for my master at Georgia Tech. I graduated at 2016, and after that, I joined LinkedIn as a designer. So, would love to share some, top learnings I've got during my journey as a designer at LinkedIn, and those takeaways are also things that I wish I would have known earlier when I was a junior designer or when I was a student. So, I really hope that they would be helpful to you guys. So to start with, the first takeaway is about the role of a designer. So I want to summarize like the role of a designer is a problem solver. Because like when I was a student, I didn't really know like what designer does. Like in my mind, it's probably something like designing really cool, mobile app or website. That's what designers do, right? You just like design things for people to see. But now I realize that those things are just a result, are just a deliverable. It's not like the key things we are doing. I think the fundamentally, if you think about the designer, we are solving problems, like, because our goal is to deliver something that can help user, solve their problems. So that's why I think we probably don't want to like really constrain ourselves. When talk about design, it's about like animation or UI. It's really like about the solving the root problem from our users, so that we are actually providing or designing something that would be useful or add value to them in their life. Yeah, so really like this is like my summary about the role as a designer. And yeah, and related to that, my second takeaway is really like design is beyond pushing pixels. That's just what I've mentioned initially, or when I was like a more junior role. I just feel like I should keep just designing things. I should just keep delivering UI. That's my job. But then I realized that that's definitely part of our responsibility. We should make sure we are delivering the UI, the visual, the interaction, everything that user would interact with. But beyond that, we are also are responsible for the solution we've defined. We should really work closely with our team to understand what's the user problem, and also like brainstorm with the team together to think about what are potential solutions, and then like narrow down to the like the final solution we decide to go with. And after that, we probably would start with the UI UX, the actual like pushing pixel phase. So like before that, there is still a long journey, and we are responsible for that. So yeah, so just I think it's really like during the 4 years at LinkedIn, I really kind of like have a better understanding on the scope of responsibility as a designer. It's definitely beyond pushing pixels. And the third takeaway, it's not ideal, but it's true. Design process is messy, and it's always. I mean, there's no single or like a perfect process for a certain project. Every project I work on has different process, and most of them, or I would say all of them, are pretty messy. In school, I like when I was doing school project, we have a semester and we have a pretty like a linear process to go through. The teacher would ask us, hey, let's spend like first few weeks to research, try to identify the problem, and then spend another few weeks to brainstorm on the solution, and another few weeks to prototype your design. And then at the end of semester, just go test out your prototype with users to validate and to gather feedback. Well, that's I mean, in ideal world, that's the perfect process we need to go through, because it's pretty, it's just that's a really logical way to kind of like go to approach a problem and to design for a solution. But in real world, it's just never the case. You will always have constraints. Either the project has a super tight timeline, or there's not enough resource to do a very comprehensive user research, or there are like a limited end resource to build a certain thing that you hope to build. Like when you have all those constraints, it's very important to be flexible and to adapt to the constraints you have for a certain project. I mean, fundamentally, we still need to make sure we have a solid understanding on our users, understand the problem we're solving. But when it comes to process, it's just never as linear as what we had in ideal world. So be flexible, be adaptive, and also just be okay when the process is messy. Sometimes like you have to always like go back and forth, and it's not always like a research come before design and then you have opportunity to test with your users. Sometimes you have to make a decision and just like launch it and see how it performs and then iterate. And sometimes there's just not enough end resources. You have to really think about, okay, like I can't finish everything in one go. How can I cut it into chunks and then launch it step by step? Like it's just like never a perfect process for you. So just, flexibility is very important here. Yeah, and moving on, the fourth one, start with why. I'm sure like it's not some, you guys probably very familiar with that. We should always start with why, not the how, not the what. You shouldn't think about like, what should I build, or what should I design, or how should I design it? Those questions should be asked before or after you figure out, why am I doing it? What problem am I solving? Like I feel sometimes we as designers tend to like jump to the solution too fast before we even figure out why we're doing it. Because sometimes we just get really excited about the idea. Oh, I have a really cool idea. I just want to design it because I just want to show it. But before that, ask yourself, like, why are you designing that? What problem are you solving? Like, who would be beneficial from this design or this product, right? Like, if you like keep asking yourself why, and you are confident that you are your direction, your solution is solving the problem, then you can move on to the how stage, to the what stage. And even in that stage, keep asking yourself or reflect back to the root cause, to the root problem, so that you will never lose the track and you will always make sure you are on the right path, right direction when designing something. So yeah, I think that's just a very important mindset we have to develop as a designer. Yeah, and the fifth one, I figured, like it's just never too early to ask for feedback. Because I remember when I was, like just joined LinkedIn, I was just so scared of showing my design to other people. I felt like it's just too early. It's not presentable enough. I want to like just work on it and make sure like it looks good and like showing like high fidelity, like really like well thought design to people. But actually, you lost a lot of chance to get early stage feedback. You probably like just waste a lot of time like polishing your design, and then later on you find out this is actually not even a right direction to go. You have to like start from zero again. So just like never feel scared or intimidated to show your design, because when you are designing something, you probably tend to zoom in a lot and just like look at like details and struggling on those details. But when you are sharing with your thoughts, with your concept, with your design with other people, you are forced to zoom out, because you have to explain it to people who don't have any context, right? You need to talk about the problem, talk about why you design this way, and zoom out for them to like really have an understanding on this space. So it's a really great way for you to kind of like zoom in, zoom out to like a better understand why you are designing this way. And on top of that, you can also get like fresh perspectives from other people. So, sharing it early, you can like get more inspirations and get more ideas from people. So you probably can like, you don't have to like waste too much time on the details until you have a really solid understanding on the direction to pick or on the option you want to go for. So yeah, so sharing your design early, get feedback early, can only be beneficial to you, and it will actually save a lot of time. So yeah, so that's another takeaway I've got from my career. And yeah, and after collecting your feedback, or have a better understanding on the problem, you will definitely make iterations. So iteration is I would say it's a never ending journey. You will just like keep iterating on your product. There is no like a cut time that okay, this product is perfect, like there's no more changes needed. As you can see, even like successful product like Google Map, or and the Slack that we use every day, they keep changing, they keep iterating on their product all the time. Because once you have a version, you launch it to audience, and you will collect like tons of data from users. And from the data you collect, you can always find ways to improve. And then you will make iterations based on that. And then you launch again, and you collect data, and you find, okay, there's something like we should change or should improve again. And just like, it's a circle. You will just keep doing it. So that's why I think just never get frustrated when you find out your previous design is not working well, that you have to make changes or update, and then maybe you have to update again a few weeks later or a few months later. It's just the nature of this, a development process. So yeah, just I think iteration is just happening all the time. And and users are changing, their behavior also changing. So that's why there's never like an end of the journey. It's always a continuation. Yep. And the seventh point is about being intentional. So what it means that every design decision you make should have a rationale behind it. You should always like be intentional when making decisions. Like big decisions such as the user flow, the end-to-end flow, like how user would interact with your product. As well as small decisions, even like why you choose this color, or why you choose this font, or even why is this copy? Those are small design decisions, but still you have to be intentional on that. You should have a reason when people question you, hey, why you choose blue over, pink for this color, for this bottom. You should have a reason behind it. You shouldn't just say, oh, I just randomly pick this color. That's not the reason. So just like the intentional, you should always make intentional decisions for your design, and the intention is always supported by the problem you are solving. For example, like if you pick a certain layout, then your reason shouldn't be, oh, I picked this layout because it looks good, or because Google is doing the same, or Facebook is doing the same. That's not the reason you are doing it. The reason should be, I picked this layout because I believe this is the best way to present the information. It's digestible to our users. Like it should always like tie back to the audience, the users who are going to use your product, and tie back to the problem you are solving. So that's just like make your design decision very very rational, and so that you can actually make sure that your design will actually add value to your users. So yeah, so that's the intentionality on this for your design decisions. And the eighth one is about storytelling. I didn't even realize that storytelling is a skill, because when I just joined the company, I didn't even know that, telling story is a skill you have to develop, or even a skill that is important for a designer. I thought like as long as I show my design, people as long as my design, solve the problem and looks good, I should kind of like doing my job well. But it's not normally the case, because just imagine like you have a bunch of screenshots and a bunch of designs ready. How can you tell your stakeholders or tell other people this is the perfect solution and we should build it? Like if you just like show a bunch of your design mocks, that probably is not convincing enough. People would just like staring at your design and asking like, hey, why should we build it? But if you can actually tell a compelling story, like talk about like how a user would use the product, and actually, the product can help them solve the problem they are faced with, like a really compelling story can actually help you pitch your design, can help you get buy-in, can help you get aligned, can help the team get aligned. So I think it's just something that very important, and I would encourage all of you to start practicing your storytelling skill as early as possible, so that you'll find that you always need it when communicating your design to people, especially to people who don't have much context for the product you're working on. So yeah, and this is actually a very key skill set for designer. That's something like I didn't realize early on, but now I find out, it's such a key part in my job, to tell a compelling story, to actually like, just it's more like a sell your design to other people, so they would actually want to buy it, or they would actually are willing to build it. Yeah. And the last but the second one is I hope that although my role is a designer, and most of you guys are starting a design major, but don't constrain yourself in the design world. What I mean is, don't just look at things from a design perspective. Like for me, I'm a designer, but I also work with a cross-functional team. I'm a close working. I partner really closely with a product manager. I also work with a team of engineers, data scientists. There are just multiple people from different backgrounds. And I actually got inspired or learned a lot from them. they're not from design, but they really teach me to look at things from different angles. Like through my conversation with my PM, I've learned a lot in the business world. So I now kind of like can develop a view from like business angle. Like when I'm thinking about a problem, I'm not only like thinking about the problem from like user perspective, from design perspective. I can also like tie it to the business impact, or even like think about how design can impact the business of my company. This is very important because at the end of the day, the company needs to run a business. It needs to make money. And you should really connect these two things, how design can impact the business. Yeah, so from what I'm just trying to communicate here is that just, like really we should broaden our horizon and like really like enlarge our scope when thinking about things, tackling problems. Don't just constrain ourselves in the from like a design, in the design approach, or like the design, or only speak design language. Look at other things, think about the problem from business and like from data perspective, so that you will develop a point of view that is more comprehensive, and you can also better communicate with people from other backgrounds, because at the end of the day, you need to work with a cross-functional team to make it happen. So that's yeah, so that's what I try to communicate from this takeaway. So it also like tied to my last point, which is teamwork. As I've mentioned, I've been working with a cross-functional team to build the product together. And actually, in a company, everything is about teamwork. There's never like a thing about like individual project anymore. I know in school sometimes we still have individual homework or individual project, but when you're working in a company, it's all about teamwork. There's nothing can be achieved just by individual. So learn how to work with different people, how to deal with different personality, work with people from different background, from who have different point of view, and also like even people who are also designers. You probably need to like team up and work on things, work on the same project. So yeah, it's all about collaboration. That's why I think developing a very flexible way to collaborate with different people. This is a soft skill, and this is very important. Just especially in the company setting. So yeah, so that's that's the last point I would love to share, and this is pretty much all I want to share with you guys. 10 points. I mean, it feels a lot, but a lot of them are actually have overlap and also kind of like connected with each other. So yeah, I hope that those takeaways can be helpful to you guys, because I wish I would have known that when I was a student. So yeah, that's pretty much what I love to share today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Vicky. That was a lot of that. I was just nodding along because I think those were some really great insights into, the whole world of design. I actually had one question for you because I know that, or I believe you did your undergraduate in engineering.
Uh, yeah, it's actually industrial design, but it's for under
Okay.
engineer, umbrella. Yeah.
Okay. And I was just wondering, like, uh, sort of what knowledge your master's added on to that undergraduate degree, and how that expanded what you know about design.
Yeah, so my undergrad is actually I started during my undergrad I started industrial design. It's more focused on the physical product. So we were like designing like the phone or or even furniture. It's pretty different from what I'm doing right now, because everything I do right now is pretty digital. But I think during my undergrad, I kind of got a basic understanding on how to approach a certain design problem, how to, it's pretty similar design process. No matter whether you are designing a furniture or design an app, you are going through pretty similar process. Because all you're doing is to solve the user problem, right? But I think undergrad didn't really give me much kind of knowledge around like the digital world. How would I approach like the design skills, or or even some like very like the methods? How would I kind of like to what kind of methods I can use to understand my users? So yeah, it just could really give me like an introduction of design. And during my master, I think I have a more solid understanding on the process, and also have more like methodologies, like how to conduct user interview, how to understand the problem, what are different ways to understand our users, or even like how to brainstorm with the team, how to come up with like ideas, and even how to narrow down those ideas, like how to prioritize your ideas, and also like some of the design skills such as prototyping. I think my master really kind of like expand my knowledge in the product design area, which I think is very valuable. And a lot of things I've learned in my master are actually kind of like helpful to my day-to-day work right now. So yeah, that's kind of like my journey in design.
Wow, that was like nice and thorough. I think it's a really interesting pathway to take. And I don't know. I know we've got 1 minute left before 6 o'clock, but I was just there's one question in the chat that I think would be a good question to end off with, and that's from someone wondering about how to break into the design scene, and maybe if you could just give a few tips on that.
You mean for people who don't have design background?
Yeah, I feel like that might be where they're coming from.
I see. Yeah, I think the best way is, I know there are different ways. You can either get another like design degree, or like there are boot camp can give you like skills, or like help you practice. But I think that those are also a great path to get into design. And you can also like try to find opportunities to do projects just like this opportunity, because I think learning by doing is just the best way. For me, the best way to learn is by doing. So like just like find opportunities to work on projects with a team, and then figure out things along during the process. Because when you are trying to become a designer, you always need to have a portfolio with your projects, and that is also something you need to present to convince the company that, hey, I have the skill, please hire me. So your project, your portfolio is just like a very important part for you to kind of like get opportunities in design industry. So that's why I think doing more projects, just grasp different options to do project, and then show the project to companies. That's the best way to get into design, I would say. Yeah.
I second that completely. I think it's so important to learn by doing, really. Okay, and I know I said the last question would be the last question, but I'm actually really curious about this person. Missed most of the talk, but they were wondering what your thoughts are on sort of the space of like AR and VR and design in that field, really. And how you sort of predict what the future is going to hold for that.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I didn't really have much experience in VR and AR world, but I think yeah. But I think like design in the future shouldn't really. I think right now we're designing everything on screen, right? Like I think in the future there's probably less boundary around like UI UX designer who will focus on the screen, or I know there are other type of designers like experience designer or like service designer. I think in the future they're probably like there's not like a clear boundary around those type of designers, because we probably all gonna design for user experience, and the screen would be like, you know, like regardless whether it's on screen or it's something other, some other stuff, but we are more focused on the user experience and less about the device or the specific like the physical thing. And but I would say that the design process, the fundamental methodology should still hold true. There shouldn't be any change on that, because no matter like what kind of design you would or kind of industry you're in, you are still like using design as a tool to solve the user problem. That will still hold true. But I'm sure the tools we're using and the device we're focused on will always change, and it probably like would be something I can't even imagine in the future. But yeah,
Yeah.
that would be my answer. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good answer for a question that's very hard to answer, because obviously we've seen, who knows what the future holds. But
Yeah.
thank you so much, Vicky, for this whole half hour. Really, I've really enjoyed and getting to speak to you. And again, I'm going to put in the chat for everyone listening a link to ADP list, because that's a great resource. And if you've enjoyed hearing from Vicky today, I'm sure you can search her up on ADP list and maybe arrange a one-on-one mentorship chat based on her availability on there. And yeah, I think that closes things off. Any final words from you, Vicky?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I'm really glad to have the opportunity to speak here. And yeah, just as Rachel said, like feel free to check out ADP. There are like tons of great tools, and you can book one-on-one with them to learn more from, industry expert. So yeah, thanks so much for this opportunity.
Yeah, thank you. All right. So sounds like we're closing things off. If you're watching and really enjoyed this, make sure to come back at 8 p.m. for another talk with ADP list. But we're going to close this off. So thank you so much, Vicky.
Thank you. Bye.